These two bastards came up to him every time they saw him, and the nickname King of the Beggars also came from them. Even in physical education class or an extracurricular activity, all he could do was hide in a nook and lean against the wall while walking along the road. This shameful feeling haunted him for 3 years. He couldn't have made it through those 3 years of high school without the support of his friends, after which the guy became a deity, immortal, worshipped by all beings. If someone got in his way, he simply walked over his corpse and moved on. Now his life is no different from an ordinary walk. Li Taishuan replied that he thought it was a good idea. If he wanted to eat this kind of food, then he should let the guy leave him some leftovers later. The guy asked what he said. Let him repeat this again. He thought about letting Li Taishuan be cursed. He stayed in the city for a while and became so arrogant. Feng Xiaodong asked, what does Liu Pa even think about himself? Let him say something. That guy and his brother, if he insults him, then he insults the guy himself. If he wants to continue, then let him not blame the guy for his rudeness. Zhao Jian told the guy that that's enough. Let him step aside. Let Li Taishuan look how lucky he is today. This time, they will let him go. The guy replied that these were his words. If he dared to contact him again, he would no longer be lucky. Just let him enjoy this small victory. They will talk to him again the next time they meet. Handing over the money, Feng Xiaodong told the guy that he had 10,000 yuan there. Just let him take it and buy a gift for the class president. He's afraid that those guys will find a reason to humiliate him again. Li Taishuan replied to his friend thanks for worrying about him, but he had already prepared a gift for her. It was very valuable and could not be bought with money. The class leader, after blowing out the candles, said that now there will be a cake for each of the guys. Liu Pa began to say that he had just looked at the list of gifts that everyone in the class gave to old age. The guy's gift is the most expensive on this list. He was so generous that he bought a Volkswagen Beetle. Everyone knows that this car should cost at least $300,000, but young Master Zhao Jian just gave it to her like this. He is really generous. One of the girls said that in such a small town it is quite rich to own a car of such value, and he really gave such an expensive car. From the very beginning, the guy expected that he would use this car as bait to catch this girl. He had never met one that would not be touched by such an expensive gift. When a guy wants a girl to be his, he uses a simple method. Feng Xiaodong told his friend that maybe he doesn't know, but that idiot always uses his dirty money to play with girls. He heard that there was one high school girl who became pregnant from him, and as a result was abandoned by him without any feelings. After that incident, the girl became mentally unstable and no longer wanted to live, and she eventually committed suicide. The girl's family wanted to find this guy to take revenge, but they all died in a car accident. This is definitely a crime committed by this guy, but the police didn't have enough evidence. Moreover, his family is very powerful in this city, and people have slowly forgotten about this crime. Nobody remembers him anymore. The girl told Zhao Jian thank you for the gift, but she couldn't accept it. They didn't understand what was wrong with her. How could they refuse such a gift? If it were anyone else, he would have accepted this gift. She shouldn't have refused him so directly. It was tantamount to disrespect. Liu Pa then said, let him read the rest of the list. Liu Pa began to list gifts for the girl. The guy said that it was 20,000 yuan from him. Next will be their old friend Li Taishuan. The guy asked if the guys could guess that he gave their old age classes. One of the guys told him that was enough. Just let him get to the point. Zhao Jian says so, what he remembers. This guy is the poorest student in their class. His old father was running around for someone to lend him money. Then how can he have a real birthday present? 100 or 200 yuan was the most he could give. The girls began to discuss this. Is this a joke? I don't know what it's even possible to buy for such a small thing. I don't know, at least it should be 1,000 yuan to buy at least something useful. One of the guys said that maybe the guys don't know, but Li Taishuan is a high school teacher. His salary does not exceed 3,000 or 4,000. He heard that his girlfriend kicked him out of her house. Let the guys see the gift that he gave to their old age. Liu Pa says that this is just ordinary paper that is used for talismans. Let them just look at it. Li Taishuan thought that this was a protection talisman that he made especially for the girl. In the realm of immortals, a talisman made by this great venerable is worth untold riches. In those days, the great powers of the worlds offered him a planet in exchange for his talismans, but the guy did not care about such trifles. But now, his cultivation base is still far from that stage, but this talisman is the most valuable treasure. Therefore, not to mention some Volkswagen, even 100 or 1,000 of the most expensive sports cars are not worth even 1/10 of this talisman. In the future, if a girl is in danger, this talisman will protect her. That's why the guy said it couldn't be bought with money. But how sad it is that an ordinary mortal cannot understand the greatness of this talisman. Zhao Jian asked, and the guy gave this gift to Li Wan. Liu Pa said that he even thought the guy picked it up from the trash can. One of the guys asked him, "Isn't he ashamed? He doesn't even have money to give the old man anything better." Poor to the core, the man he was remained so. Zhang Lijuan shouted for the guy to return the talisman to her. She said that this was her gift that Li Taishuan gave her. Why is he laughing? The girl thought that the guy immediately gave her this talisman when he arrived. She carefully put it in her bag. Maybe Liu Pa searched her bag in order to find him and humiliate the guy. He told the head of the class not to worry so much, the guy hadn't finished yet. Liu Pa continued to say that his begging skill was getting better and better. He even dares to use this toilet paper to fool their class president. Use this as lunch in this place if he is so hungry. He even dared to poke his nose into this place. What an arrogant man. The letters on that paper are just insignificant. Then he threw the paper onto the floor and spat on it. Fang Xiaodong thought that he had offered him 10,000 yuan, but the guy did not want to take it. Now he is being humiliated by their classmates. He didn't want to listen to his advice. The guy, of course, thought that he would give the class elder some rare artifact, but who would have thought that he would only give her a talisman? But if anyone has to blame, it's himself. He should help him. Li Taishuan told him that out of respect for the class president's holiday, he would give him a chance. Let him lick and clean that talisman, then apologize to him, and maybe he will spare him. He thought that this time he would save Liu Pa's life. After all, it was Zhang Lihuan's birthday. This is her holiday. Because of this, the guy does not want to paint these walls with blood. For now, he would let him move on with his life. If this was the immortal realm, then his entire family would be executed due to his crime of insulting the gifts of the great immortal lord. The guy started screaming. Does he dare tell him that he apologized to him because of that trash piece of paper? Is he completely crazy? Having twisted his hand, the guy immediately stood up screaming, "What did he do?" Li Taishuan asked how he, an insignificant ant, dared to insult his talisman. A scumbag like him dared to mock him? Pushing him to the floor, the guy said that he should lick him. Liu Pa replied that of course he will do everything now, just please stop beating him. After which the guy began to lick that paper. Li Taishuan asked how he could use this dirty talisman as a gift for the class president. He can eat it right now. Turning the paper into a ball, he stuffed it into the guy's mouth. He said that even an ant like Liu Pa dared to provoke him. The guy coughed and asked to give him water quickly. Li Taishuan said that he doesn't even know who the guy really is. In junior high, he was the one who gave him this title of King of the Beggars, right? Most likely, he never thought that he would ever be crushed under his feet. He humiliated the guy and his father. They told him that he didn't even have the strength to provide for his own son. Who does he even think he is? How dare he open his mouth and start provoking him? The guy asked him to show mercy, promised that he would not dare to do this again. Zhao Jian wondered, is this the weak guy he knew in the past? He behaves like a ruthless killer. He saw that the guy was heading towards him. He asked what Li Taishuan wanted. Looking up, He thought for some reason it seemed to him that he was standing face to face with an angry beast. With every step he takes, the air around him is filled with an increasingly ominous aura, and it seems that just a little more, and this aura will crush everything around him. The guy thought it was impossible. It must be an illusion. How can this beggar king have such power to defeat him? Jung Jian told the guy that he was warning him. He doesn't know how strong the guy is, and doesn't even know who he's dealing with. Even though he is from the rich second generation of the city, they don't even know that he still has many secrets hidden behind his back, especially those terrible creatures. To honor their old relationship, he believes there is still enough time for the guy to kneel and apologize, after which Li Taishuan hit him. The guy started screaming, how dare he hit him? What the heck? After all, he secretly recognized the expert as his master, so his strength is equal to the best experts of inner strength. But why couldn't he block a simple slap from Li Taishuan? After another slap, the guy asked what he would do to him. The guys looked at what was happening in surprise because Zhao Jian could not block a single slap from the guy. He beat him as if he wanted to swat a fly. They just couldn't believe that weak guy they knew was a secret expert who had a lot of aces up his sleeve. The angry guy thought, how dare Li Taishuan disfigure his beautiful face in front of his goddess, Zhang Lihuan. After which the guy shouted that he would kill him and began to attack. Grabbing him by the throat, Li Taishuan shouted that he could tell him the same thing. Having pushed him, the guy flew into the wall. The guy said that he doesn't even know what he's like when he's angry, and let him believe it, he certainly doesn't know who he's facing. Zhao Jian answered the guy that he knows that he also likes the headman. But unfortunately, neither one nor the other will be with her. The fate of the class leader is already in someone else's hands, and no one can change it. He admits that Li Taishuan is a tough guy, and he is not his rival at all, but he is certainly a rival to his master, so he suggested they just go their separate ways. Li Taishuan wondered, is the class president still related to Zhao Jian? If this is the case, then he will simply help her get rid of all these worries. This is his gratitude for her help in the past. The way to proceed is to use this guy to destroy all his patrons behind him. The guy said that he didn't care who was behind him, so he could call them there. Even if God comes there, he will destroy him too. Zhao Jian shouted that let him not rejoice ahead of time. The guy will make him regret everything. He will die a terrible death, and that will be the case for those who dare to go against him. In this society, money is power. He is strong, but what can he do? Will he be able to defeat rich people? To be honest, he came in a car for 800,000 yuan, and he, poor fellow, took a taxi. So what's the point of defeating him? He's just an ordinary poor man. Let him wake up. Now girls only need money. He may not be the most powerful, but he has money. His family has a lot of money, unlike some. Li Taishuan replied that as for his condition and the condition of his family, in his eyes it is nothing, and his trough cannot be compared with his sports car. Just like his friend said, this guy is just an asshole with money. He also said that he opened a couple of good factories, but this is all a useless trifle in the eyes of this deity. Zhao Jian asked him a sports car? And where is he? Will the guy be able to show them so that they can all be convinced of this? The guy's friends immediately began to ask how he and mine thought that he had more money than Zhao. How many rich people in the city do he think can afford a car that costs 800,000 yuan? Looking at the girl, he asked if the class president would mind if he took her home. The girl replied that, of course, but she prefers walks. Can a guy walk her? The guy thought, there are a dozen blocks from this hotel to her house. What's the joke? Is she doing this to help this lord's current predicament? His dear class president is even better than an angel, selfless and kind-hearted. Her self-sacrifice is duly noted by this immortal. The guy did not answer that her kindness touched his heart, but he really has a car. Let her wait for him at the entrance to the restaurant, and he will go to the parking lot to pick it up. The guy shouted after him so that he wouldn't lie. How can someone like him have a car? He said that he wouldn't believe it until he saw it. Liu Pa added that this poor man does not have a car. He's just showing off. All his stories are just ordinary fairy tales. This must be bragging to make himself look better. He wants to see where the guy will get that sports car he was talking about. The head girl thought that she believed him. He is not one of those who likes to talk loudly, but she wonders where he got such a car. Feng Xiaodong also thought about what he knows. The guy is not the type to lie. He means that they were childhood friends. He knows his marital status. Maybe it has changed over the past 2 years. How the hell did he accumulate so much wealth that he could afford a luxury car? Zhao Jian said that quite a long time has passed. Where is he? Why didn't the guy come back? Just let him admit it. He lied to them all. This kid is just a poor bastard, a worthless loser. He said, "Screw this loser," is the guy right? How dare he say that he has much more money than the guy? He's the richest there. Who doesn't know this? If he wants to brag, then let him brag about something else. Liu Pa replied that the guy was right. That poor fellow probably just slipped away so as not to be ashamed. Can a poor man like him dare to drive a sports car? Most likely he has not even ridden a real bicycle, and most likely these things are the same thing for him. The guy told the head of the class that he should stop waiting for that fool. He most likely ran away a long time ago. A friend suggested that she come back. She was too naive and easily succumbed to other people's sweet talk. Let young Master Zhao send her home in his car. Zhao Jian told the girl to stop thinking about that idiot and let him take her home. What's the point of waiting for him? That liar has already run away. Just let her go with him. Otherwise, at this rate, she will be waiting for Li Taishuan until dawn. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a car. Having opened the doors, the guy told the class leader to get into the car. Zhao Jian said that it seems that he has already seen this car. This is a Ferrari Portofino worth 20 million, a global limited supercar. A friend asked, "He's not joking, is he? How can this guy drive such a luxury car?" The girl thanked him, because it was her first time sitting in such an expensive car. Zhao Jian was angry. He was beaten by Li Taishuan for the first time. The guy hopes that with the help of money he can show him his place, but he did not expect that he could defeat him there too. Today his reputation is mixed with mud. If Li Taishuan does not die, the hatred in his heart will live forever. He immediately started calling someone. The guy said that he was interfering in his own business, so tonight he will destroy his family. Li Taishuan told the class president that he still remembers how he did not have money to pay for school fees. She gave him 1,000 yuan. The guy will never forget her soul. The guy told her not to worry. As long as no one around him dares to mock her, he will make sure that she is safe and provided for the rest of her life. The girl thanked him because the guy's words touched her to the core. She said that everything seemed to be going well for him in life, but how could he earn money for such an expensive car? What did he do after he graduated from college? The guy replied that in fact, he was a trainee teacher at a school in Huzhou, and as for this car, it was his friend. At the moment, this car is now registered in the name of Chu Shuilian. The girl thought, this makes sense. How can such a young guy, being just a trainee, drive such an expensive car? But when did his friend manage to lend him a car? Zheng Lihuan told the guy that he should be careful with Zhao Jian. That guy is not just that. In addition to his wealth and power, there are also people in his family that he cannot handle. She, of course, sees that he can stand up for himself, but the one who stands behind him does not look like a person. He is more like God. The guy can't fight them, so he should leave town. Let him take his father and leave. The further the better. No matter what happens, he shouldn't go back. Li Taishuan thought in his past life, the guy must have had something to do with the mysterious disappearance of the girl. Otherwise, he would not have uttered those inexplicable words in the hotel. Li Taishuan felt the presence of dark qi. It comes from the class president, but is still weak. This ki was familiar to him. The body is 9 yin ki, but where does it come from on Earth? This is really unexpected. If he remembers correctly, 9 yin ki is the essence of the moon collected at the full moon. This qi collected from moonlight will gradually penetrate into the body, a power from the realm of darkness, the opposite of his Taishuan cultivated true qi. The sacred body of this god is connected from the first chapter by the truth of the Taishuan Sutra, near the sacred tree inherited from ancient times. It was originally the heart of the Fushan tree, which was purified day and night by the power of golden phoenixes in order to gather yang power. If you cultivate the true sutra to perfection, you can absorb the sun and use it for further cultivation. However, this path to the sun only produces light when cultivation is achieved. This is the only cycle that strives to form ki, the pure true ki generated by the universe. Thus, in his previous life, even after he reached a certain stage of his cultivation, the guy was unable to take the final step because he was unable to find a source of powerful yin power. At that time, he had been roaming the immortal world for almost 1,000 years in search of caves that might contain traces of the 9, but to no avail. Only later did it become known that the tracks had already died out in the immortal world. It was only because of this that those bastards dared to attack him, and even dared to covet the Book of Heaven. But even so what? If they can't find the 9 yin ki, they won't be able to open the Book of Heaven, and without that, it's just a piece of paper. Those idiots dreamed so much of getting this Book of Heaven that they sacrificed most of their strength for this and received a piece of paper, while legendary footprints appeared in the lower world. Now the body of 9 yin ki is too weak. There is still a long way to go to obtain the true body. But unfortunately, the body will not be able to transform into the true one. On Earth, this is practically impossible. Only in the immortal world will it be possible to achieve this. So, like him, the girl's future path is in the immortal realm, and the Earth is just a small starting point. Whether it was because of the 9 yin ki, or to repay the debt of kindness, he would save the class president from this sea of suffering. Zhang Lijuan asked, "The guy, can he hear her? Doesn't he think they've passed this block before?" The guy thought that he was Li Taishuan. He didn't need to use his eyes to understand what was happening. It's like a big net that is constantly shrinking, slowly trapping them. The girl shouted, "Let him look." They returned to where they came from. Even the landscapes were the same. The guy asked if it was a ghost luring him into a trap. And even at such a late hour, what a problem it is. He thought that they confuse human nature, capture the soul, and turn him into a wooden doll that they can control. In the past, he had often heard from the elders that some people who walked the hills often encountered a similar situation. Whatever the road, in the eyes of a person, it was a shining path along which he boldly walked forward. Some were lucky enough to wake up and find a high cliff in front of them, thereby snatching their lives from the clutches of death. But those who were unlucky fell from a cliff and thereby died instantly. There was another strange incident when he lived in the village. The guy heard from the elders that they had a man who never believed in these ghosts, and one night he went out to drink. But on the way home, he somehow wandered into a small forest at the western exit of the village. There were a lot of tombstones in this forest. He wandered back and forth. Zhang Lijuan told the guy that if something happens, just let him get out of the car and run. The guy answered the class leader that if she was in danger, how could he ignore it? Let him be sure that if something happens, he will take care of it. The girl started screaming, "What are we even talking about? He doesn't have enough strength. Let him not think that he can protect her after he was able to defeat Zhao Jian. He is not their opponent, so in any danger, let him run as far as possible." Suddenly, red rain began to fall on the street and the silhouette of a man appeared in front of them. The guy thought that it seemed that this man was the culprit of all these anomalies. After leaving the car, Zhang Lijuan told Yin Feng that this guy had nothing to do with it, so let him go. The man replied that since he is with her, this is kind of his destiny. He cannot let him go. The girl went with him, so she shouldn't keep the master waiting. She knows how difficult it is for him to walk now. The girl shouted that she would not go anywhere with him. Watching what was happening, the guy thought that since the girl has 9 yin ki in her, she is naturally different from ordinary people, and her strength has already surpassed the inner strength martial artists, and she is close to the level of a great master, at least stronger than Zhao Jian earlier. But unfortunately, this Yin Feng's strength is much greater than that of the girl. Having attacked in response, he shouted that she should not overestimate her strength. The guy thought it was dangerous. If the class president had hit the table behind her, she would have been seriously injured. This gust of wind was strong. It seemed like it had no intention of showing mercy. Handing the umbrella into the girl's hands, he asked her to stand there and not move. He would deal with the rest himself. The girl shouted, "What is he doing?" She told him to run as quickly as possible. He could die like that. That guy is not his rival. The girl thought that the cultivation of the blood rain god is really terrifying. Is it possible that he is already a great master? She couldn't even withstand one of his blows. Li Taishuan may have defeated Zhao Jian, but his cultivation was at the level of peak inner strength. His strength is not even close to the girl. But this man is much stronger than her. Why is the guy so confident in himself? Isn't he afraid of dying? Zhang Liwan doesn't know what Soaring has been through all these years, but to her, he has always been a younger brother who was weak and needed help, and she, as an older sister, always had to protect him. She asked Yin Feng to let him go and promised that she would go with him. The man told her that it was not in her position to talk to him about the conditions. This brat will definitely die tonight. Zhao Jian recently called him and specifically mentioned this guy and then asked him to help him kill him. He thought that maybe this brat defeated Zhao, but most likely this is his limit. He is unlikely to be stronger than Zhang Lihuan. And this girl couldn't even withstand one of his blows, to say nothing of him. Having greeted the guy, the man said that it seemed like fate itself had brought them together today. But did he really think that he could fight him? He can give him a chance. If the guy falls to his knees and begs for mercy, maybe the man will save his life. Li Taishuan replied that he also had an offer for him. Let him come up there and start asking for forgiveness and making amends to the class leader. Otherwise, the guy will turn his life into hell. Yin Feng said, "Great. It seems like all the wars in the outside world are crazy. Let's see what he says after his blow." The guy wondered if he could really be a true great master. The Lord became curious. He was not averse to learning the power of the great masters of the earth. Calling him a brat, the man asked, "Does he think he is able to resist the great master?" The guy is too self-confident. With everything that was happening, the girl realized that it seemed like it was all over. After another strong attack, Yin Feng thought it was impossible. He put almost half of his strength into this blow, and the guy was able to deflect it. For everything that was happening, the girl could not understand where he got such strength from. Li Taishuan told the guy that he expected him to be a great master, but in fact, he greatly overestimated him. Yin Feng replied that he underestimated him. The guy said that it's good, in any case, he will die today, and such that after death there will not even be anything left of him. Li Taishuan decided to use the power of the phoenix. After the blow was reflected, a strong flash followed. Only one hand was visible from the pile of stones. The girl immediately ran there. She asked if the guy was okay. She screamed that she would get him out of there right now. Suddenly, behind her back, the girl heard a question. Is she by any chance looking for him? Zhang Lihuan realized that the guy was truly a hidden great master, and Yin Feng was the one who looked invincible in her eyes, was defeated by him with one move. The girl thought that if she had not seen it with her own eyes, she could not even believe it. Suddenly the guy realized that the illusion of bloody rain had disappeared. Looking at Li Taishuan, the girl realized that even the great master was not his opponent. Is this really the same guy who was once weak and helpless? Extending his hand to the girl, he said that no matter who threatens her, he will completely figure it out, but she still doesn't believe him. The girl replied that it wasn't that she didn't believe him. She was just really surprised by what she saw. Zhang Lijuan said that, however, Yin Feng seems to have only recently become a great master, but who really poses a danger is his master, Master Chen Xikong. She said that this master forced her to worship him as her master so that she could practice with him, but even at one glance it was clear that his soul was saturated with malice, so she never agreed. And just recently, Master Chen conveyed through his student Zhao Jian that he was giving the girl her last chance to return to him. He gave her exactly 3 days, and if she didn't say yes, he would take her by force. As Li Taishuan had already realized, Zhao Jian was Master Chen's disciple. Otherwise, how could he have had the courage to behave like this? She said that the guy had never seen the master and they did not know about his cruelty. Great Master Chen, he is not a man, he is God. Perhaps he is even higher than God. As far as she knows, one day he decided to act, and after that he destroyed an entire sect of spiritual practitioners. Zhang Lijuan tried to explain to the guy that now he is not the master's opponent. He has time. Let him leave this city as soon as possible. The guy replied that if he leaves, the master will definitely come for her, and for her it will be a sea of problems, but for him it is a small puddle. The girl began to scream that he was reckless. How else can she tell him to leave as quickly as possible? The guy is not the master's opponent, and she doesn't want to bring him even more problems. He asked the class president to give him a chance and let him repay her for her kindness. Zhang Lijuan replied that if she knew that 1,000 would put him in such danger in the future, the girl would never have given it to him. Li Taishuan replied that she was mistaken. Even if the girl had not given him 1,000, he would still have helped her now. They were friends with her from school. Although she understands that the guy says this with good intentions, how can he defeat the master? After all, the master has magical powers and kills great masters, as usual stray dogs. The girl thanked him for seeing her off, but told him to please be careful when he returned home. The guy replied that it was good. As it turned out, Yin Feng was in the trunk of the car. Having opened it, the guy asked him to tell him where that great Master Chen was. The guy specifically tried to keep him alive in order to find out where his master was. If this problem is not solved at the root, the class president will still be in danger. Yin Feng replied that if he thinks that you will tell the guy, then he can continue to dream about it. Li Taishuan said that he has at least hundreds of thousands of interrogation methods for great masters. Even if he endures a few, he will not die so easily. The guy will suffer with every part of his body and soul. Literally, 10 minutes later, Yin Feng shouted for the guy to stop. He would tell everything. Just let him spare him. He said that the master is deep in the mountains west of the city. The mountain is called Changmeng and has hundreds of miles of ups and downs. The guy asked how much he knows about this mountain. Yin Feng replied that there are many rumors about this mountain, and some people say that the mountain god lives on it. It is said that in ancient times, demons and ghosts created problems and caused endless misery. So on the night of the full moon, people nearby killed pigs and sheep and sacrificed them to the mountain gods to suppress evil spirits and ghosts. But there were those at the ends who said that the mountain god is the greatest evil devil who suppressed everyone on the mountain. Around the 30s and 40s of the last century, a gang appeared in the city that killed and started fires. Local soldiers decided to save the civilians. They decided to lead them through the mountain and finally leave the area. The robbers tried to kill them all. Hundreds of people with guns moved towards the mountain. This night was the night of the full moon. The mountain god of the mountain slowly woke up from his sleep. The whole mountain trembled. He was unshakable, and a flock of ghosts walked behind him as if enchanted. For people, it was as if they were on earth. In the end, none of the robbers survived on the mountain. Everyone died there. In recent years, local residents organized an expedition to Mount Songmong. But just like last time, it all started with an earthquake. The mountain god was furious. In a word, this mountain looks like a giant monster that hunts simply by opening its mouth and waiting for people to come for their death. It's impossible to count how many people have died. Therefore, after that, no one dared to go to the mountain. The local residents only had to mention the mountain. Horror was visible on their faces. Everyone was afraid of angering God on the mountain. Li Taishuan thought if this guy told the whole truth, then that master has several ways to cultivate on that mountain. He thought that, nevertheless, now he was not interested in the master or his people, who were not even worthy of the glance of this immortal. What really interests him is that mountain. His intuition tells him that Mount Sangmang is not so simple. She probably harbors such a mysterious creature within herself, and he must go there. Yin Feng replied that he had something else important. If the guy promises to let him go, he will tell him everything. His words were followed by a blow, calling him a pathetic insect. Li Taishuan asked, "He dares to put conditions on this immortal? Does he think he has the right to do this?" Having asked for forgiveness, the guy immediately said that he would tell everything, just don't let him kill him. Yin Feng thought how scary it was. A terrifying aura just gushed out of his body. At what stage is his cultivation to achieve this? What is it about Zhao Jian? After calling him, the guy said that the death of Li Taishuan would not be enough, so it seems that he decided to take a few of his men with him and visit the house where his father is and kill him. He wants to completely destroy his family. The guy thought that it seemed that Zhao's mind was completely clouded by money and luxury. He was so rotten that he decided to target his father. His fate is already sealed. Having forced a pill into his mouth, Li Taishuan said that it contained the strongest poison. In an hour it would dissolve, after which the guy would die in a terrible fire, eventually dissolving into dirt. Having called him a master, the guy immediately bowed and asked not to kill him. Li Taishuan replied that if he listens to him and does what he asks, then perhaps the guy will cure him. Of course, he can also run back to the mountain to find his master, but in truth, in this world, he is the only one who has the antidote. Of course, if he doesn't believe him, he can start running. The guy replied that, no, how could he not believe him? He would like to hear what the master's will is. Standing in front of the guy's house, Zhao Jian said that the guy was still far from him. With his connections, he easily got the address of his house. The guy asked, did they understand everything he said? Let them go there and kill everyone they see. Spare no one. As soon as they broke into the house, cries for help immediately followed. The guy sat in the car and thought a cry for help under the sound of rain. What could be more beautiful? The guy said that as soon as they finished, he had a canister of gasoline specially stored in his trunk. His house would burn to the ground. Once the house burns down, no one will even know that it was all his doing. Li Taishuan must have already met his death. Don't worry, he will send his father after him, so he won't be bored there. Suddenly a bloody body fell on his car. The guy started shouting that it was impossible. He must be mistaken, he thinks so. He couldn't believe his eyes that it was his father. Suddenly, someone began to say that Zhao Qian was guilty of producing and selling drugs. Over the years, millions of dollars have been made from drug trafficking, and several people have been killed. Approaching his brother, the guy tried to bring him to his senses, but saw that he was already dead, after which he immediately began to run towards the house. I started shouting to the guys that enough was enough. Let them stop. Have everyone step aside immediately. His mother had the sin of staging suicides. She poisoned everyone who prevented her from achieving success in the city. He started asking if he was okay or Mom. Let me please open my eyes. The voice continued to say that the university student was abandoned by Zhao Jian and committed suicide. Later, because she was worried about troubles with the girl's family, the woman and her husband deliberately staged a car accident to kill them. Grabbing one of the guys, he began to shout, "Who made them do this?" All members of his family were killed by them. One of the guys told the boss that it was he himself who told them to go in there and kill whoever it was. They did everything he asked. The guy shouted that he said to kill Li Taishuan's father. Where was it said to kill his entire family? Suddenly, looking at the body, one of the guys asked if this was his mother. He shouted that it was impossible. It was completely unrealistic. The guy didn't understand how it could be his boss's family if he saw for sure that it was Li Taishuan and his father. Li Taishuan asked Zhao Jian already regrets. But unfortunately for him, the murder has already been committed. He himself ordered his men to kill his entire family. The guy wanted to humiliate his entire family, but by doing so he signed a death sentence for his entire family and himself. Yin Feng asked the master how did he like his skills. Although he recently became a master, he can already use illusion magic. This illusion distorted reality for those bandits and made them think that Zhao Jian's family was Master Li's family. Turning to the master, the guy asked if he could give him an antidote. Li Taishuan replied that he should not rush and be patient. Looking at them, Zhao Jian asked, why didn't brother Yin Feng kill Li Taishuan? Yin Feng shouted at him to shut up. The guy was just a registered disciple of the master, and he was an initiate. And let him not contact him anymore. He is not even worthy of contacting this Mr. Li. Does he still have the courage to say such words? If it weren't for helping him, he wouldn't have been beaten by Master Li. Even his handsome face is now disfigured. He almost killed him. Zhao Jian shouted that then let him take out this anger on him. Why his parents? Li Taishuan said that this guy should ask him about it. Why did he decide to involve his father in his nightly games? Wanted to destroy his entire family. Come on, he's waiting for an answer from him. Tomorrow a guy will become a national celebrity by hiring people to kill his parents and brother. He will now live forever in endless fields and repentance. Does he like to bully people with his money? He won't do anything to him, but the guy will sign this agreement transferring all his property. Zhao Jian replied that the guy wouldn't even dream of it. He wouldn't sign anything. Li Taishuan said that he had no right to refuse. Having picked up the sword from the floor and wounded his hand, the guy touched the paper to his bloody hand, after which he said that from today his family's property would be transferred to his father's name. At that moment, several police cars drove up to the house. Entering the house, the man said that he was Assistant Commander Li from the Panther Unit. Let everyone raise their hands and surrender. Li Taishuan wondered why he came there. The man asked what was going on there. Who killed all these people? The guy replied that Zhao Jian instructed his people to do this. Yin Feng replied that it was true, he would testify. Zhao Jian told Mr. Li that they both conspired to frame him. He should believe him. He was set up. These two are real criminals. They set everything up to frame him. The guy shouted that the people who died were his family. He didn't kill them. Inspector Li said, "Who would have thought? This is Li Taishuan. He has matured, and upon arrival, he has already done so many things. Didn't his father call him to tell him that he wouldn't be able to participate in the family ritual this year? How did he have the courage to come back?" The guy thought that Li Shuiyun, the son of the eldest uncle, was also the most outstanding of the junior members of the Li family. As a child, this guy was very good at all aspects of life, but this also made him arrogant and impolite. As a child, he was often bullied by his uncle's sons, especially Li Shuiyun's family. They never cared about him and his father, because they believed that they could only show their superiority by stepping on their heads. Li Taishuan told the guy that first of all, let him correct his mistake. Zhao Jian was the one who came there in the evening to cause trouble with the intent to kill. If he's a deputy officer, the evidence is right in front of him. Let him find them himself. The guy doesn't think he needs to be told how to do it. He is also a member of the Li family. A family holiday is a day of respect for the ancestors, not for him and his father. So his family cannot tell them, and he personally has no right to say this directly in his presence. The guy didn't understand why his cousin was so different from his former self. In the past, when Li Taishuan saw him, he became like a mouse who saw a cat. He was so nervous that he didn't even dare to say anything. He's probably not afraid of him because he's too angry, not to mention the fact that he's just a poor man. Li Shuiyun began to say that if the guy said this in a fit of anger and everything goes wrong, then he cannot avoid the consequences. He ordered someone to check carefully to make sure nothing was missed. Approaching the deputy officer, the man began to say that they had preliminary results of their investigation. All the thugs at the crime scene claimed that Zhao Jian sent them to kill people. He said that they deserve to die and kill whoever it is. In addition, the CCTV camera at the main entrance also captured them. They also found 2 large cans of gasoline in the trunk of Zhao Jian's car, apparently to clean up the scene and burn any evidence after the murder. And most importantly, Zhao Jian himself personally killed 2 more thugs. They have all the necessary evidence of a crime against this person. Zhao Jian told Brother Li that he did not kill them. He was framed by Li Taishuan. Let him believe him. He thought that his relationship with Zhao Jian was not bad, and he usually spent a lot of money to support him, but this time he dared to cause him so much trouble. Li Shuiyun asked who he called brother. Let him not say nonsense. Their team is very disciplined and they do not tolerate criminals. He told someone to handcuff him and take him away, after which he said that Li Taishuan appeared at the scene of the murder. He was also suspected of the crime. Let someone arrest him too. If a guy dares to oppose him, he will respond by finding 100 ways to destroy him. So he will show him who is the eldest of the younger generation of the Li family. One of the employees approached Mr. Li and asked him to please come with them. He also warns him not to give up resistance. How dare he send some ants at this immortal? Li Taishuan asked if he was at the crime scene. Then he is a suspect. What nonsense. Doesn't the fact that this is his house bother the guy? Let Li Shuiyun not think that the guy is afraid of him just because he is a deputy officer. Honestly, if he were even an officer himself, the guy would have to treat him very respectfully, not to mention some little deputy officer. If he knows what is good for him, then let him take his people and get out of there. Otherwise, let him not blame him for being rude. Li Shuiyun asked how dare the guy threaten him. He started saying that Mr. Zhang is his boss, and the guy dares to say that Mr. Zhang should treat him with respect. He had never seen anyone who could say such a thing. Who did he even think he was? His father is poor, and the guy is the son of a poor man. His family was born poor. Yes, he would rather get pregnant than Mr. Zhang to treat him with respect. Li Taishuan asked how dare the guy insult his father. Let him apologize immediately. Li Shuiyun asked to apologize to him. He doesn't care about him and his poor father. He still remembers the guy calling his father poor at a family gathering. Why didn't he dare say anything then? He can't even tell him anything. Li Taishuan shouted that his cousin was disrespectful and deserved to be beaten, followed by a slap. Li Shuiyun started screaming. How dare the guy hit him? Is he completely tired of living? He asked. So what if he hit him? The guy asked Yin Feng to come over and hit him too. Li Shuiyun shouted that he was a deputy officer, and those two dared to attack him. They were finished. Suddenly he realized that there was no gun. Li Taishuan asked the guy by chance, "Isn't this what he's looking for?" He asked how his gun ended up in his hands. The guy replied that it was a useless piece of hardware. He ordered Yin Feng to continue beating him. He must restrain his strength but hit as hard as possible, but the guy must not die from one blow. Li Taishuan said that he repeatedly insulted his father at family gatherings in front of so many relatives, and constantly said that he was a poor man. Li Shuiyun shouted that this bastard had no right to beat him, and tried to escape. The men looked from the street and did not understand whether the great and powerful deputy was being persecuted and beaten. This was their first time seeing something like this. Running out of the house and getting into the car, Li Shuiyun shouted to his cousin that he was not finished with him yet, after which he left. Watching the car drive away, the guy thought that this was just the beginning of the show. Let him wait until the Lai family chooses the head of the Lai family, then he will start with him. The guy will repay him for all the humiliation he suffered. Li Taishuan told his father that this was a 2-story house that he bought for him. The environment there is elegant and suitable for him and his quiet retirement life. After yesterday's incident, it is no longer possible to live in that house, so the guy took this opportunity to buy a decent house for his father in the city. In this life, no matter whether he is a mortal or a great immortal, his father's death has always been his greatest regret. However, since fate gave him the opportunity to live this life again, the guy must cherish this opportunity and protect his father. He decided for himself that he would force everyone who insulted his father to beg for mercy on earth, bowing his head to the ground, begging for forgiveness from your father. Lao Li told his son that tomorrow at noon, the family reunion dinner, his uncles will come. Let him remember to come home early. The guy thought, this is a couple and their families who constantly pushed out and oppressed his father. The Li family's ancestral inheritance was to be divided equally among the 3 brothers, but the first and second uncles united to gain the upper hand in their eyes. Only money and status matter. Family means nothing to them. His father was sincere and honest. He did not approve of such methods. The guy also never cared about small incomes. But the guy returned to take revenge for his old life, not only for my father but for myself, and even more for the sake of the mother he had never met. Lao Li told his son that he would have to control himself at tomorrow's dinner, on the occasion of the restoration of the family. He will fulfill his father's request, but if his uncles decide to cause them problems, they will regret it. Ever since he swallowed another heavenly stone given to him by the head of the Chu family, his cultivation had increased on its own, and if he started cultivating himself, the pace of cultivation would only become faster. This guy never cared about these worldly realms. Only when he reaches the innate sky and returns to the truth can he break through the heavens and return to the immortal world. By then, his first priority would be to destroy those idiots who attacked him, take back the wordless book of heaven, and avenge his past shame. At that moment, the guy's phone rang. Feng Xiaodong told his friend that the class president had disappeared. The guy asked what happened. Let them tell him in more detail. He began to say that last night alone they celebrated her birthday. The guy left with her early and she left her gifts there, so he decided to help her collect them to take them to her home. In any case, when he came to her, he called her several times, but she did not answer. The most interesting thing is that the light in the headman's room was turned on. So he went upstairs and found that the door to her room was open and the house was a complete mess. Before leaving last night, he gave the class elder another talisman. It conceals his Taishuan key. The guy did not expect that the talisman he left to prevent an accident would come in handy so soon. Li Taishuan told his friend not to worry about it. He would go and find the class president. The guy asked what he meant. Does he want him to put all this on him alone? The class president disappeared in the middle of the night. Something must have happened to her. Feng Xiaodong said that he is not someone who is afraid of anything. In addition, he has several assistants. The more people, the easier it is to search. Li Taishuan told him not to worry. They will be useless in this case. He can handle it himself. But they are already waiting for them. Let just the guy go with them. They will take care of each other in case of emergency. As he thought, his kuai comes from Mount Sangmong. The guy is 90% sure that the girl was captured by Master Chen. The girl asked permission to introduce him to the guy. He is her boyfriend, Ji Jian, the champion of the National Boxing Championship. He also placed in the top 10 in the National Fighting Championships last month. The guy replied that he could not believe that Brother Z had achieved so many honors and achievements. She added that her boyfriend was in so much trouble. The girl can't even count how many girls were after him. In the end, she got a tiger so she could live a normal life. So the girl is not like these country bumpkins who nest in this countryside like Yunjo all their lives. The girl couldn't come to the class reunion last night because she was watching a movie with Ji Jian. But when he said that something had happened to the class leader, she hurried to see if she could help with anything. Fang Xiaodong told her not to worry. His name is Qian. He may not be that strong, but he is a famous hacker in their province. He is trying his best to find out the whereabouts of the class president. Ji Jian asked who is the guy he just called. With him, he dares to say that the people he found are useless. Since his debut, everyone who dared to be arrogant in front of him was beaten by his iron fist. The girl asked him the guy he just called was Li Taishuan. Is he taking on too much? When he was in school, he was always the weakest that he didn't even dare to speak back to anyone who bullied him. She was in love with him for a while, but then she saw that he was too weak, too useless, and his family was poor, so she just gave up. Thanks to the fact that she came to her senses in time, she now has a boyfriend, and the difference between them is like heaven and earth. At this moment, Li Taishuan appeared. Fang Xiaodong said that he had finally arrived. The guy had been waiting for him for a long time. Looking at him, Zi thought that he looked like an ordinary person, floating with the flow, without any basics. Even Qian would be stronger than him. How dare he even say on the phone that he would be useless? He also brought a little girl with him. Does he think this is a game? It's outrageous. The guy asked was he just on the phone and said they would be useless. Looking at him, Li Taishuan thought that this must be the help his friend had found. Li Taishuan replied that he said the truth. If he doesn't want to die, then don't follow him. Of course, if he continues to insist otherwise, the guy will no longer be so kind. He started screaming. How did the guy have the courage to do it again? Fang Xiaodong asked him not to be angry. They were all there to save the class president. Why do they need these internal squabbles? Zi asked someone so weak, how did he decide to go save people? He is afraid that he cannot even take care of himself. He will simply be useless. Well, he put him in his place, in his own words. Has he really filled his mouth with water and is afraid to answer? Besides, does he know where the class president is now? Of course he doesn't know, but he still ran to save people. This is complete nonsense. Should they let him lead them like a herd of mindless sheep? Li Taishuan told his friend that it was time to go. Their destination was Sangmong Mountain. They should seize the moment. He realized that there was absolutely no time for such meaningless rhetoric. Now, saving lives was more important. The angry guy asked if he says that this is exactly the mountain. Does that mean that this is exactly the Sangmong Mountain? Who would even believe him? At that moment, Qian shouted that he had finally found her. The signal from the target's mobile phone is located on Sangmong Mountain. Zi asked what did he say. Looking at the monitor, he said that this could not be. The girl is really on the mountain now. After which the guy realized that everything had turned out extremely badly for him. Qian is a famous hacker in the country, in addition to his strong physical strength. He had just hacked the girl's mobile phone's GPS system and finally discovered her location. But even so, it took him almost half an hour, and Li Taishuan just opened his mouth and said, "How did he do it?" The guy thought it must be some kind of trick. They arrived at the right place. Fang Xiaodong said that further up the mountain there was a beaten path that was impossible to travel on, so they would have to continue walking. He can't believe the mountain is so creepy. He hasn't even seen anyone around. Lan Wu told the owner that the ghostly aura there is even stronger than when she was in the alley. The girl had not tasted such a pure ghostly aura for a long time. The girl told her boyfriend that she was a little scared. She heard from the old people in the city that there was something unclean on the mountain. The guy replied that he was next to her. Just let her follow him. He would ensure her safety. Turning to the guys, he said that if someone is scared, it's not too late to get out of there. He doesn't want to carry any kind of ballast on himself. Turning to Li Taishuan, the girl said that she remembers when they went to school, He was timid and weak and was always bullied. So it also seems to her that this place is not for him. It's better for him to leave. Li Taishuan will also tell them something. This mountain is not as simple as they think, and it is not too late for them to leave now. Calling him weak, the girl asked who he was trying to scare. Just as she thought,